Dawn, you picked up right where you left off with great starts in your game at Fargo. You had that 13-0 start against Denver. You start out 8-2 against North Dakota State, and immediately you put an opponent on their heels.
Well, what I thought we did at the beginning of the North Dakota State game was turn them over.
Yeah.
And that gave us opportunities to get out and go. And we were fortunate to be able to score out of our turnover opportunities in that game.
It seemed like there were two factors in that game because both teams shot the ball very, very well. But it was your ability, like you said, to turn them over. That gave you 10 more field goal attempts. And in a game where both teams are shooting the ball well, the more shots you get, the better chance you have of scoring, obviously.
Well, I think we scored 30-some points, maybe 31, 32 points off of turnovers. So you're exactly right. What we've got to do a better job of, Jeff, is when we don't turn teams over, of holding their field goal percentage down a lot better than we have been. You know, we're kind of riverboat gamblers at times where we get a steal and we can get going, but if we don't get it, then we've got to do a better job of finishing that possession out and getting stops. What we were fortunate enough to do was, like you mentioned, get more possessions in this game, and that was crucial. And
you outshot them at the three-point line as well.
We did. We've been saying to our young ladies that we have the ability to make shots. We know that. We see that. We watch it in practice. You know, we put it in shooting drills. We see it all the time. And we keep telling them they're going to fall. There's going to be a time. And we're fortunate that we went on the road in a place that we did not play well last year, and we shot the ball really well from the arc throughout the course of the game.
And one of those games, kind of an odd game, Don, neither team really had a chance to make up any points at the free throw line. There's not a lot of free throws in this game.
Well, and especially because both, I think, somewhat physical teams.
Yeah.
You know, North Dakota State really has the ability to get to the rim and make things happen. They've changed a little bit of their style from years past. They don't post up quite as much as they have in the past. And when they do, they post up a little farther from the basket. So they really extend you, but they're able to get to the free throw line typically with some type of dribble penetration. And, you know, you're right. It was an odd game to have a Summit League game, I think, shoot between the two of us 15 or 16 free throws. That's not an awful lot.
We did talk going into this game about their approach, and they really are not just giving it to Taylor Thunstead anymore and letting her do all the scoring. They really have become a more balanced team.
Well, and they have, and you saw a couple kids come off the bench and actually lead them in scoring. Riley Jacobson, Emily Dietz. And I think Jacobson is a kid that is so physically strong and gifted, you know, comes off the bench and really gave them a boost in this game. And, you know, that's something that it makes the scout a little bit more difficult, obviously, because they're more of an equal opportunity offense. All five of your defenders have to be more solid than let's just guard one kid.
Talk about a boost. J.C. Bradley, especially right off the bat, she was part of that early run for you, hitting those 3 early threes, and boy, she had quite a night.
Well, she did. She finished 5 for 5 from the arc, 8 for 9 from the floor. We were trying to figure out why she missed a shot. I mean, come on, if you're going to go play that well. But what hurt us what helped us in the first quarter is that J.C. hit some early shots in transition. She got us our offense sparked, and then she got in foul trouble. You know, and what hurts us when JC gets in foul trouble is that not only do you take a scorer off the floor, but you take someone who facilitates our offense. She's really good at moving. If anyone comes to our games and we're playing against a team that guards us in a man, watch J.C. Bradley's movement without the basketball. It's really fun to watch. She does a great job of screening, spacing, screening again, slipping to the basket. And when she came out of the game, our movement changed, and it wasn't as good, and we didn't score as well in the second quarter without her on the floor.
And then Jasmine Trimboli started out what proved to be a really good week for her with 9 rebounds for you in Fargo.
Well, Jasmine is someone who has been playing last year before she got injured, was playing our point guard spot for us when we went to Australia, and now this year is playing anywhere from a 3, a 4, or 5 spot even. And the hard part is, you look at that and you say, wow, you're really undersized, but she's such a good athlete and she's such a good rebounder that a lot of times we can make up for that and make other teams pay because she's pretty challenging to guard herself, whether she's on the perimeter or inside.
So then let's go to Macomb on Thursday, and I don't think it shocked anybody that you went in and won that game. I think the 24-point margin probably surprised some people. I mean, that was a well-played game by your group in a very, very tough environment.
It was a very well-played game by our young ladies, and the question that I've been asked quite a bit, Jeff, since that game is, did Western Illinois lose a lot of kids from last year?
No.
And the answer is they graduated one kid.
Yeah,
they graduated Mallory Boyle. And they have, of their starting 5, a very veteran crew, 4 seniors, 1 junior. Our young ladies went in And I think really did a great job in a couple of areas. One, last year we got beat in transition offense. This year we got back in conversion defense. Now, we also were able to get back in conversion defense because we did a second thing, which was really important, which is take care of the basketball. Last year, their zone that plays angles really turned us over. This year we took care of the basketball. We made some more shots that helps you get back in your conversion defense. And the third thing that we did a much better job of is we kept them away from the free throw line. And last year when we played at Western Illinois down in Macomb, Emily Clemens herself shot 16 free throws. This time, I think Emily Clemens had 2 free throws, and we did a much, much better job of keeping them off the free throw line.
And similar to the North Dakota State game, you hit some threes early, which got the momentum going, and you turned them over.
We did. The part of turning them over was the pleasant surprise, because they're a team that handles the ball really well. They share the ball. They run their 5-out motion offense. They take care of the ball particularly well. And we turned them over, so that was really important. And then on top of that, what we did a pretty good job of is we limited their second shot opportunity. So when we didn't turn them over and they got a shot, we did a nice job of keeping them off the offensive glass. So in the first half, I don't think they had an offensive rebound. They ended up with 5 on the game. But what our young ladies were really tuned into is how to keep them away from the rim, but also how to get back to their three-point shooters, because, as you mentioned, they're a team that can really, really shoot it, and they did shoot it pretty well from the arc against us, unfortunately.
We talked about the week Jasmine had. She finished it off in Macomb with a near double-double, 19 points, 9 rebounds, and she also had 5 offensive rebounds and 5 steals. And what a complete game for her at Macomb.
She played incredibly, incredibly well. We actually got into foul trouble. Our 2 post kids, Kate Liveringhouse and Taylor Frederick, both got into foul trouble in the first half. So in the second half, we decided to kind of save those kids from getting an early third foul. So we started Jasmine, and we started a smaller lineup. But boy, that lineup played really, really well. What we found is that with those 5 guards on the floor, it was very suitable for us offensively. We were able to space the floor. Jasmine played extremely well, but so did all of our kids. But Jasmine really gave us a boost in that starting spot in the second half.
Well, and with 5 players in double figures, Dawn, I mean, you're proving to be very, very difficult to guard, because now you're getting scoring from a lot of different places.
Well, we are. And that group that was in during the course of that second half played a lot of minutes. And sometimes as coaches, you think about, we got to keep our kids fresh, we have to sub, and sometimes you just stick with what's working. And at that point in time, we stuck with what was working, and those 5 kids played a lot of the second half and played really well. And I think in our game, sometimes you're able to do that because timeouts are long. At the college game, I think they're 1 minute and 45 seconds long. You know, we were fortunate enough that we were able to, score, so we were able to get back a little bit easier. But that group did get pretty tired. I will admit that they were starting to look at us with some eyes. Jasmine kept looking at me like, "Are you okay? Or you need a stop?" She's like, "Oh, I'm okay." Well, then get back and get a stop. Let's go, Jazz. But our kids did play very, very well, and we're very in tune with how to guard Western Illinois, and I think that showed during the course of that game.
And then Kira Duffy, back-to-back weeks as the player of the week in the Summit League. I don't think people realize how hard that is to do, because there's a tendency to say, I'm not going to vote for this kid again. She just won last week. But when they're that good and have that good of a week, you have to vote for them again.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think at times you look at it and you say, well, she just got it, so let's spread the wealth a little bit. And for her to receive it again is really a tribute to Kira, but also to her teammates, because you win those kind of awards when your team plays well. And certainly, this group of young ladies played really well last week.
So in order to avoid having a week off between games, you have Mount Marty coming into your place tomorrow night. Let's talk about the rest versus rust discussion. Where do you fall on that?
Well, it's something that we actually talked about. So we had a great trip in terms of, we chartered from Fargo to Macomb, but then we bused from Macomb back home. And we did that because we were still on break. We took a sleeper bus and we came back through the night. I'm here to tell you, Jeff, I'm out on doing that ever again. Not a big fan of that. I wasn't a fan of it before. I'm not a fan of it again. So I just think it's really, really challenging for your kids to come back. We did it because we were on break. Mm-hmm. Had we been in classes, we would not have done that.
Sure.
But we did it because we were on break, and we took Thursday off then, or Thursday and Friday. Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday off. All screwed up on days. Took 2 days off. but one of them was a recovery day, just getting back and not necessarily sleeping well. And then we practiced on Sunday. We had to take Monday off for our day off for the week, and now we practice today. Well, we told our kids on Sunday is that the last time we did this to really rest our bodies and try to recover and had 3 days off in a 4-day stretch, which we need for later in the week, we played very poorly, and that was during finals week, and that was when we played against Tulsa. Mm-hmm. So the rust factor is something that, we're very aware of and concerned about, and it's something that we've got to do a great job today in practice, getting our kids ready to go against Mount Marty so that we play well in that game.
So then you finish that up this week with a game against Fort Wayne on Saturday, and there's not a lot of great ways to say this, Coach. This is a team that's really struggling right now. They've lost 7 in a row. They're shooting under 40%. They average about 20 turnovers a game. I mean, it's been tough so far for the Mastodons.
Well, it has, and those are always the dangerous teams because ultimately they still have the ability to make shots. They do. If they take care of the basketball, they shoot it decently from the arc, they get to the free throw line. They're a team that you've got to do your work, and you've got to do your work early and throughout the course of the game because ultimately in basketball, anything can happen. And the three-point arc is a great equalizer. And we play against, in a conference that we've talked about a number of times that shoots the ball really well, play against Mount Marty, who averages 10 made threes a game. We play against Fort Wayne, who doesn't shoot it quite as much. Maybe they only shoot it 17 times a game, but still, what you don't want are those kind of teams to get rolling and gain some confidence. So you've got to start really, really strong in those type of environments.
And this is a team that's really still trying to figure themselves out, Coach. I mean, they've started 11 different players so far. They've got a lot of young kids. Yeah, they've got DeJour Young and a couple of other players, but this is a team that you don't know a lot of these players that you're going to be going against on Saturday.
Well, and what I thought they did a really good job of last year, Jeff, I thought this was, and it's unusual, but they are a great interior passing team. They're small in terms of size. They don't have a lot of 6'3", 6'4" kind of kids, but they have great hands. So they're playing guards. They're playing guards in post spots. When the ball is thrown to them, they come up with it. Now they have a chance to get to the free throw line because they've caught it in the middle of the lane. So keeping the ball out of the lane is really, really important for us. What they do this year, which is, and I think you're right, they're figuring out who they are. They've changed their offense, and their offense that they're running now is more of what we would call a chin offense. It's what the UConn women run, where they space the floor. They run everything a lot higher on the court. And so that allows for driving lanes and other opportunities to get back to the rim and make things happen, get to the free throw line. When we played them last year, we were able to score it inside against them, but we had Abby Fogg, who had some size. But we didn't do a good job in the first half when we played them at home of keeping the ball away from the rim. They drew a lot of fouls on us and got to the free throw line.
So a lot of talk outside the program about this first ever 3-0 start for the Coyote women. What's the talk inside the program about your start so far in the Summit League?
We actually haven't even talked about it. Besides, hey, be aware that the last time we had this time to rest and recover, we didn't bounce back very well, so let's go. So that's been our message so far. I think what's really important for us is to continue to work on fundamental skills. So yesterday was a day off for us. This morning we had our young ladies back in the gym, and we were doing a 30-minute individual workout the day before a game, working on some shooting skills. We'll come back this afternoon, watch film on Mount Marty. Continue to try to build us. And how do we do that? We do that through developing fundamentals one-on-one. We also do that through trying to continue to develop our defensive game plan and our ability to get things done. We've really worked, after this game we came back and practiced Sunday, on guarding one-on-one, because ultimately if we can do that, and right now Jasmine is our best one-on-one defender, but we need more of those kids who can do that.